Alright, I'd like to do, I'm going to do in this video discussion about the second chapter of Edmund Husserl's Prolegomena to Pure Logic, which is the introduction to the logical investigations. Now, I'm not going to do chapters 3 through 9 or 10-ish, because that is all about, those chapters are all about his refutation of, basically it's his anti-psychologism. And I'm going to do a separate video where I just kind of discuss that a little bit with respect to Bergson and a philosopher called Willard Van Orman Quine. Discuss that in a little bit of a light with those other two, because I've read that enough, and I really want to get onto the main investigations. So I'm just gonna skip those and go to the. I'll probably discuss the chapter in the Prolegomena about pure logic, and then I'll move on. But in the first and second chapters, it basically there's the epistemology and a philosophy of science here. It's not, in essence, yet phenomenological, but it is a philosophy of science and also epistemology. So basically, I'm discussing there's sections 14, 15, and 16 of the Prolegomena in these, but I'm leaving out 15 in this discussion. So Husserl's philosophy of science is about normative science. He discusses here theoretical disciplines and normative disciplines. Normative or practical disciplines in science, they rest on theoretical disciplines. And now, why is a science normative? I will definitely get to that, and how this it's like founding the edifice of science. It's like founding the whole system of science. And figuring out how one does science. It's kind of a really, really neat thing here. And if you like philosophy of science, as I do, this will be cool for you to read. Science and its investigation is the duty of the theoretical discipline. So investigating certain things is definitely a duty of the theoretical disciplines. Now, what is theoretical? Theoretical is investigating the what is, the things that are. Normative, it's going by a basic norm, which I will go into here pretty quick. Theoretical science tells us things that are, what is. Now, in the book that I'm currently writing, I have a chapter where I discussed how phenomenology should be the foundation of our knowledge and our action, and basically of everything. So, and I use this little passage in Husserl, how the theoretical brings us to the what is. The normative science tells us what shall be or should be. Those words shall or should, those are normative, and even if you want to say ethical, there you could this is not ethics. This could be ethics, but it's not really ethics. It's the shall or should be of science, basically. This normative science is independent of anyone's this normative science is independent of anyone's willing it. It's there is nobody demanding, hey, this should be or this shall be. There's no if there's a normative discipline, which there's a a maxim of this shall be. There's nobody saying that. There's no will of that happening. So then he gives the example. If we say a soldier should be brave, it's no one really is demanding it. So this is kind of a foundationalistic science that we're kind of looking at here. So a soldier should be brave is kind of translated as only a brave soldier is a good soldier. It's a good soldier. I can't talk. Damn it. Only a brave soldier is a good soldier. It's kind of like what's being done here is we're classifying and discussing what a normative scientific claim is here. Now, I can see how this would work because there are normative, scientific disciplines in which, whatever normative investigation that really follows from it, is governed by a couple of certain things that should be or shall be, and it's basically a value judgment. It's scientific value judgment about the way things are. It's scientific value judgment. That's kind of an example of what like a normative science would be like. Given the example Husserl gives of a soldier should be brave. So the fulfillment of a claim like only a brave soldier is a good soldier would be the positive predicate. The thing working out, that same thing. So the non-fulfillment. So what would be the fulfillment of only a brave soldier is a good soldier, is where if we have like say we have a test group of 20 or maybe 100 soldiers, and all of them are classified by the certain squadron as good soldiers, which would be the only reason that they are in that squadron. Those all happening to be brave, or you would basically also what is going on here is there's a certain logic in here. It's kind of hard to tell with that whether this definitely is a conditional. It's kind of hard to figure out where exactly what exactly the antecedent and what exactly the consequent are. So the fulfillment of that is all those soldiers being brave soldiers, or all of those soldiers being good soldiers, depending on what you're testing for. The non-fulfillment of that is all those soldiers being good and not turning out brave, or all those brave all of those brave soldiers turning out to be not good, or some of those soldiers being that. It doesn't really have to be all. So it's the negative or the positive predicates, and that's this foundationalistic science, like hitting upon those laws. It's it's kind of like it's if I drop the pen, if I let the pen go, the pen should fall. It's like that basically. So general normative propositions, those are concepts of good and bad. Of course, it's value or disvalue. Like a good soldier, it's it is or does bravery and all this stuff. So this is just kind of the way I'm exemplifying this. This is a discussion of what Husserl says, but it's also I'm adding things way that I would exemplify a certain scientific test, or a certain scientific process based upon that. So if something goes awry according to you on my discussion, you know what to do. I would say So what is a basic norm? And I'm saying if one of my examples are bad, then just say so, because the things I'm saying are based upon what I've taught in the academic world. So a basic norm tells us, it gives us standards. It's standards for that normative discipline. it's the standard of which a value is. Cannot read my handwriting. It tells us basic standards with a basic value. All normativization must be conducted. It's a relation to what is. A basic norm is related to what is. It's it's like the definition of a cardinal number and the occurrences of the cardinal number in actual arithmetic. It's given a certain normative discipline, a basic norm is defining basic values, basic ideas of the way things are. It's the definition of a standard conception of good. It's like that. We must conduct scientific research into the sum total of mutually relevant propositions. Normative propositions. What is a normative discipline? That is unambiguously characterized by basic norms. It's a definition of what counts within that discipline as good. For example, pleasure is as a basic norm. We research into what objective circumstances pleasure is excited. So that's kind of like a test group, or it's like a test as to what things in the objective world produce pleasure, and such. So we're looking for the necessary and sufficient conditions for the arisal and maintenance of that thing that we're looking for, pleasure, for instance. So that's what a normative discipline does. A theoretical discipline, on the other hand, is it has no basic norms. It is the central reference of all those disciplines, and it is the central reference of all the discipline researches. It's interested in researches of investigations, matters of belonging together by the inner laws of things, and it must all be investigated together with mutual coherence. So the way that works is where matters belonging together by inner laws of things. It's kind of, in a way, figuring out the way things are before taking on a basic norm of. It's kind of like finding out basic laws of things, basic laws and basic ways the things that things basically work. So it's a more basic investigation. We can't have a normative discipline without a theoretical discipline having confirmed certain things before we can move on to having certain things that we will look for in a certain normative discipline. Like in a certain normative discipline, we test for pleasure in the world, and in certain circumstances, we have to have certain things figured out as laws within a test for pleasure in the world, and in certain circumstances, we have to have certain things figured out as laws within a certain theoretical discipline. So in section 16, what is discussed is the theoretical discipline as the foundation of all normative disciplines, and a normative discipline presupposes one or more theoretical disciplines as its foundation. So Husserl is definitely a foundationalist. theoretical content free of all normativity. So normativity in that there's no shall or should of what we're looking for. There's no shall or should there. We're not looking for. So it's like we're looking. We look for the law of gravity. There's no. Like I gave before, if we're looking for, if we don't know about the law of gravity yet, it's not really going to be a normative discipline. It's going to be more of a theoretical one. It's a basic norm determines the unity of a normative discipline, where the theoretical content differs from one case to another case. So if a normative discipline, we have an A should be B, where in a theoretical discipline, only A, which is B, has properties C. So it's like this little thing. I don't know if you can see that. A horseshoe B, B horseshoe C, A horseshoe C, which is if A then B, if B then C, then if A then C. This is standard content of the C, which we would come by as the standard content of any standard setting predicates of good. Normative prepositions can make normative prepositions can make appearance in theoretical contexts. Theoretical relations are hidden within the preposition of normative sciences. So we have here it's not there's no like big line that's drawn. Theoretical disciplines must found normative ones, but normative prepositions can be a part of certain theoretical disciplines, and the same for theoretical prepositions can be a part of normative ones. So it's a foundation of how we gain knowledge. It's a foundation of how it's a process. It's a system of how we gain when we move towards knowledge. Basically, it's a way of moving towards knowledge based on this foundational system of science that Husserl gives. Every normative discipline demands that we know certain non-normative truths. That's how theoretical disciplines must be the foundation of normative ones. Every normative discipline must depend on non-normative theoretical truths. And I'm going to give a certain example of which like I said, if you see any examples I'm giving which you think suck, tell me. But I'm just giving examples as to the way this way I've been taught that this kind of works out. But then my examples might still suck though. Logic is still a normative discipline. In the first chapter, what is discussed is how logic is a normative discipline. How is it a normative discipline? Is it's those. If you think about those operators, the and, the or, the not, the if then, the if and only if, and such. It's normative in that there's a basic norms, and there's a shall or a should, in what we're looking for. So it's like in the if we have a horseshoe B, the horseshoe, for instance, the horseshoe in logic is the if then. It's a material conditional. Or if we have a horseshoe B, it's if A then B. It's normative in that we have if A holds, then B will hold, or if A obtains, then B obtains. So it's like the way the example I want to give here is about how this is supposed to work is kind of within psychology a little bit. Any theory of psychology or chemistry or biology or whatever, it has to do with phone's ringing. It has to do with what it's like. It's like I'm thinking about like the psychological theories of behaviorism, Gestalt, epiphenomenalism, which is kind of psychology, is kind of philosophy of mind. Epiphenomenalism, and let's see here. If we're looking at logic, Frege had his own his own idea of logic, and Aristotle did. But I'm going to take the example of behavioral psychology, and what that is, it's not like a neuroscience kind of thing where it's looking at the behavior of what the thing does, of what the person does, in order to make inferences, in order to make conclusions about the psychological state. It's about the behavior, not what's going on the inside. On the inside, it's what the behavior is. It's the belief that the behavior is the foundation. I don't want to say foundation, but it's the way in which we come to conclusion in psychology about what the psychological state is of the person. So it's like if a person has paranoid schizophrenia, there will be a certain behavioral set of actions. If a person has bipolar disorder, again, a certain set of actions or behaviors. Behavioral psychology didn't just come about out of nothing. It has certain truths. It comes from truths before behavioral psychology, which has proven there are some correlations. There's a lot of good correlation between what goes on the inside and what goes on the outside. It also is based on a lot of truths that the behavior of the person doesn't lie when it comes to the actual mental state. It comes from previous things in psychology which has no real basic norm. It comes from previous things in psychology which don't have any, which are just truths that have come by in older psychology. But then we have behaviorism, or behavioral psychology, where there is a basic norm there. There's a norm of how we're investigating normatively in behavioral psychology as to where we're going to investigate as to where, given, or that if a certain person behaves in a certain set of ways, then he should have X. If he behaves in certain ways, X, Y, and Z, then he should have Y. It's like if he looks paranoid, looks like he sees stuff that isn't there, or then he, in a lot of other symptoms, then we can infer that he should have paranoid schizophrenia. And I believe behavioral psychology was brought up by B.F. Skinner, but I could be wrong. So there's a basic norm and stuff like that. There's a basic norms of systems of science which come up following previous more basic data. So it's a general philosophy of science by Husserl, which I think it's kind of a good idea, really. But yeah, I think I kind of maybe talked about that too much. I kind of went on a little too long, but and in his crisis of the European sciences of the European science, he also discusses his philosophy of science, and he discusses what the crisis of the European science really is. So yeah, I'll probably skip the rest of the chapters 3 through 10, and then I'll go on to like 11 or something like